let us breathe. Let us all breathe. Let us take a breath, a neshama, and feel our hearts beating with pride, beating with joy, alive, hopeful, and even excited. For there is peace in our land, the waters are calm, people are holding hands, smiles are seen. Not because there is a Democrat or a Republican, not because there is blue or red, but because there is a sea of purple. We might disagree on issues and legislation, and there is a time to disagree. But we may have different opinions, but I believe that we all believe in justice, in mercy, and in righteousness for every person in our land. When day comes, we ask ourselves, where can we find light in this never-ending shade? A 22-year-old descended from slaves taught us perhaps more than we could ever imagine during this historic week. She taught us about vision, bravery, and hope. She taught us about courage, patience, and passion. She reminded us that we are a country committed to all cultures, colors, characters, and conditions of man. This week is about leadership and example, and it is about our 46th president and our vice president, but it is about so much more. It is about country and community. It is about power, but more so it is about example. Each of us is charged to be an example to others, a light unto the nations. This week is about a land, a particular piece of land that 2 weeks ago was filled with hatred and bigotry and anti-Semitism, and this week was filled with love and joy and care. This week it was filled with patriotism of the highest level. That is the image of the American flag that we must teach our children. A flag that stands for the possibility of what might be. This week, we saw a rabbi give an invocation to a then president-elect as he headed to Washington. We heard the priestly blessing invoked. We heard words of Torah shared throughout our lands, not because Biden is a Jew, but because holy words are treasured words for all, and because when relationship exists built on love and respect, then hearts can be opened. This week we reflect as many started to be vaccinated, and so we feel hope. And so we persist. This week we are grateful for the doctors and the scientists who allow us to imagine a tomorrow where we can hug our loved ones, learn sitting next to our teachers and students, hold hands in hospitals, and properly mourn our dead. This week we celebrate history. We celebrate the magic and the beauty of a democracy, where people of different opinions come together in celebration, in community, in love. This week we are not black nor white, nor old nor young, nor southern nor northern, not urban nor suburban, not poor nor rich. This week we are Americans from every state and territory, blending our colors together to weave a tapestry of country with every fiber of our beings. And this week, we remember the history and recognize the monumental achievement of woman and the men who came before her. This week, we recognize when glass has been shattered, and we will never look back again to say, When will the time come? For the time is now. With every broken ceiling, we move forward. Not a perfect world by any means, but a world that is opening just a little more for equity and equality. We pay honor to those who served, to the history, to the process. And we shout from the rooftops that it is finally tomorrow, and our daughters can dream just as big as our sons, that anything is possible if you want it bad enough. Vice President Harris reminded us this week what it means to be an American. She said that we are undaunted in our belief that we shall overcome, that we will rise up. This is American aspiration, she added, evoking inspiring leaders throughout American history. She reminded us that in the middle of the Civil War, Abraham Lincoln saw a better future. In the middle of the Civil Rights Movement, Dr. King fought for racial justice and economic justice. American aspiration is what drove the women of this nation throughout history to demand equal rights. And so tonight we say, Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, shehachiyanu v'kiyamanu v'higianu lazman hazeh. Blessed are you, Adonai, our God, ruler of the universe, who has brought us to this moment in time. And our 46th president, may his words ring true, and may he be true to his words. He is a man of integrity, a friend to many, and a passionate American. And so we learn from our new president words that ring so true as we Jews share in the story of the Exodus, the story of Passover, the story of a Pharaoh who hardened his heart time and time again. President Biden said, we can do this if we open our souls instead of hardening our hearts, if we show a little tolerance and humility, if we're willing to stand in the other person's shoes just for a moment, because here is the thing about life. There is no accounting for what fate will deal you. There are some days when we need a hand. There are other days when we're called on to lend one. That is how we must be with one another. And if we are this way, our country, he said, will be stronger, more prosperous, more ready for the future. And so we stand ready to serve, ready to work, ready to embrace one another. I hope you will join me in this new era. I myself am on a mission to recalibrate, to welcome hope and possibility with Jewish resilience and gratitude to guide me. I see women of every color and every background leading the way, and I see men doing the same. I know that the time is now for us to change the course of history, so our children and our children's children will look back in history and say, this is when they learned to truly work hand in hand. During a pandemic, when things were hardest, they found a vision for tomorrow. And yes, we need some humor to lead us in our darkest time and to help us find the light. And then we must return to the reality of today and the promise of tomorrow. If these three men who served our country with honor and distinction from different views and with different challenges can come together to create unity, that certainly we can follow in their great footsteps. We heard some mighty voices that sang our American songs. We saw beauty and grace that shined ever brightly. We witnessed friendship and charisma that crossed the aisle of politics. And we saw joy, pure joy, that brought tears to our eyes. And then, because of a pandemic, we witness the coming together in celebration, in light, and in life of a country as we have never witnessed before. The silver lining, everyone got to attend the ball. And then the purple shone the brightest, for a mix of red and blue is always going to be the strongest, not despite our differences, but because of them. And don't forget that with every leader, they have a perspective unique to who they are, to the path they have traveled. And after all of these images, let us return to the words, because words matter. Words are powerful. Words are special. And Amanda Gorman's words continue to teach. Scripture tells us, she said, to envision that everyone shall sit under their own vine and fig tree, and no one shall make them afraid. So let us not be afraid of tomorrow. Let us embrace it. She continues, the new dawn blooms as we free it, for there is always light, if only we're brave enough to see it, if only we're brave enough to be it. The work begins, and the work continues. And even in dark times, we will dream, and we will do. And we will stand together, opening our souls. Let us be brave enough to see it. Let us be brave enough to be it.